The Daily Dribble.
Welcome back to the Daily Dribble podcast, guys. As always, I'm your host, Nick Zammit. Here joining me on a very warm Friday night is Mr. Lee Hancock.
Boiling.
Mate, how are you? No sweat under the pits? Holding true at the minute?
Not yet, but
Mate,
geez, I can feel it coming. It's definitely perspirating.
I was about to say it's a bold. I think we've all gone quite bold choices with the tops. Probably the best choice out of them all comes from Mr. Roy Hancock, who's joining us
How are we
tonight.
going? Oh, geez, we should have gone bare-chested. Imagine that. Imagine the thumbnail.
The thumbnail would be popping. Do you reckon it would increase or decrease our listeners?
Oh, look, I think we'd be getting a few more.
My ego says it increases quite heavily.
Yeah.
Heavily.
The reality, maybe not so much. But fellas, how are we? It's been a cracking week of weather down here in Tassie,
Yeah,
hasn't
it's
it?
been good.
Blue skies every day, just picture perfect.
Loving it.
It's almost been too good to watch basketball, but it's never too good to.
Well, we were talking
To
about
miss
it just
out.
before we came on air, Roy, and I love summer and everything that it is, but the only thing that gets me is goddamn hay fever.
Yeah.
I'm like Snuffleupagus over here. The old real ones who watch Sesame Street know that guy. But how do you guys go with hay fever?
Never get it.
Yeah, I
Never.
used to get hay fever literally all the time during these warm weather days, but I think I'm immune to it now. I don't know. I've grown up, Nick.
I tell you what, you need to kind of take a little Genghis Khan route here and overpopulate the world with your blessed genes.
With my genes, yeah.
There you go.
That'd be a very good-looking population.
My word, it would be. Guys, a huge episode. Today is the first of our two-part series for our mid-season grades. We're going to start with the Eastern Conference today, rip through all 15 teams, kind of sharing our thoughts on how their season's going thus far, where we had our predicted standings at the start of the season, and just kind of, give some of our key takeaways early into the piece here.
I will say, I asked Ro last night, have you got any notes? And he said no. And at the present time, I did not either. And at this present time, I still do not. So we're going off what's in the dome right now. I mean, I've got some stuff loaded up and I've got my old notes from my predictions.
Big play.
But yeah.
Specifically, not much notes this week because I think there's a lot that can come off the top of the head with some of these predictions, but
there you go. I love it. Fellas, before we get into it, a big shout out to both the cover and stadium scene. As I say, week in and week out, both those two entities across the US, across Australia, doing massive things in terms of us, in terms of showcasing our fine work that we do here, as well as other content creators out there. So certainly appreciate all that they're continuing to do for us. Guys, let's get into it. As I said, today is week one of a two-part series. Next week, we will tackle the Western Conference. But without further ado, let's get into the East, and we'll start with the Atlanta Hawks.
Give them an idea of what we're doing first, I reckon.
What do you mean?
So we're
have I not already done that?
I don't think so. I will do it a bit better. All right. So at the start of the season, we made our prediction of where we think each team will sit in the respective West and East. This week, we're doing the East, and we're just seeing where they're at now and how our predictions kind of played out. Good work.
I feel like that was very, I feel a little bit like Groundhog Day, like I heard that a moment or two ago. But you're absolutely right. Do you want to tackle it, Rob?
Oh, look, I think you've well and truly covered it.
No, absolutely. Well said, Lee.
Thanks.
So the Atlanta Hawks sitting ninth at the moment with a record of 19 and 22. I might start us here. I predicted them for seventh. It's been a little bit of a disappointing season so far. A lot of turmoil in and around the franchise at the moment, namely with Trae Young. I think positive has certainly been AJ Griffin.
Yep.
Hitting a couple of buzzer beaters and really kind of set the tone as a rookie this year.
He's been underrated to a certain extent.
Very underrated, I believe, as well. And, with Trae, this franchise that hinges on him, DeJounte Murray, a key piece coming in, has looked really good, I think. 20.5 points, 5.5 rebounds, 6 assists, but it all is Trae Young. And he's putting stats up, but his efficiency is it's taken a trip off a cliff. He's down to 31.5% from three, down 7% from last year. I think there could be changes in store, and I think John Collins is namely the piece that could be looked to be moved before the deadline. I just thought, given my expectations, they're off the pace at the moment.
What do you think the likelihood of Trae Young actually being traded is over the next year or two? Because there has been a lot of talk about it on Twitter.
So with Trae, I hadn't heard any until probably a week or two ago about Trae being the piece traded.
It's probably speaking to how much time I spend on Twitter and these other social media platforms. But yeah, I have heard a few things about Trey perhaps going to like a team like Miami in exchange for like a Tyler Hero and another
It
piece.
was Tyler Hero and Cole Lowry, I think.
Cole
I saw
Lowry
a
was
mock
another
trade.
one.
So it was, Trey for Hero and Lowry, and I don't like it.
I will say the odds are very low, in my opinion, for Trey getting traded.
For two reasons, I think. One is he's already shown when he's fit and firing, he's one of the best players within the league. He hasn't taken that superstar Luka Doncic level step yet. But partly as well, I think given his value is probably as low as it's going to be.
Yeah.
Just that mock package of Hero and Lowry for Trey, I thought was just, completely off the pace. And it just screams to where people see him at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, look, at the end of the day, there's not many guys in the league who can average 27, 28 and 10 assists as well. He's got that perfect combination, even though his efficiency is low. He's got that perfect combination of being able to put the ball in the bucket and facilitate for his teammates. So I think they're high value players. And I think if you're going to be getting rid of anyone, I think head coach Nate McMillan might be front and center, unfortunately.
Getting a warm backside, do you reckon, Lee?
His ass is on fire.
I think so.
And does a big part of that almost become that they're choosing Trey over Nate moving forward?
110%. I think so. I think it's going to come down to a little bit of an ultimatum to a certain extent. And I don't think they'll think too long about it when it's time to make a decision. And as we've always said that the head coach is always the scapegoat in these type of situations. So regardless of what you think about Nate McMillan, they will be getting rid of him in a heartbeat over Trey Young.
League, in terms of going forward, where do you see this team in the I guess the hierarchy of the league of the East? Are they going to finish in a playoff spot? Are you going to miss out on the play-in entirely? Like, where do you see them falling in the latter half of the season?
Right now, they're not where they should be and where they thought they'd be, especially after acquiring DeJounte Murray.
Yes,
I think they are in the select few teams. I'd have about 4 teams that they're not supposed to be there, and they will get out of this rut. Trey Young, he's just having a bad shooting season. I don't want to call him a shot chucker just yet, but damn, he's chucking up some shots that aren't falling.
A shot chucker.
That's such an apt name, isn't it?
A shot chucker.
Chucker.
Yeah. I had him 7th before coming into the season as well, just like you, Nick. They're sitting 9. But I think, they're going to climb the ranks.
Roy, where did you have them heading into the season?
I had them 8th heading into the season. I didn't think, even though getting a player like DeJounte Murray is really handy because he's a multifaceted player.
Absolutely.
I just thought at the time, is it enough to elevate them into true contender status? And no, I didn't think it would be. And so far, they've shown that it hasn't been enough to get him there, including, as we were mentioning, the turmoil, which we probably didn't anticipate coming into this season. We thought it'd be a bit more steady. So it's sort of just been a recipe for disaster with, a bit of unrest within the organisation.
Before we move on, the big point that I've noticed is their centre struggles. Capella's not it in the East when you've got such talented big men, Lopez, Giannis, Embiid.
He's not been bad at all, though.
He's been bad. I think he's not, comparing it to the other top centres that they're going to have to compete with, he's not at the pace needed. And a Congo at 6'9" is just too small. He's going to get eaten. So I think they need to address that and quickly.
I think the problem with Capella, I think he's good at what he does, which is get boards and get blocks. But I think in today's NBA, you almost have to be he almost is missing one dimension. He's a little too predictable, and he probably doesn't do as much.
Depended on it.
Well, that's the thing. He doesn't have a jump shot. Doesn't have any.
Couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat.
Yeah, well, that's right for old Clint, unfortunately. But you're right. They need to look into another bigger option there.
Very good, fellas. Let's push on. Ro, what did you have on the Brooklyn Nets? They're currently sitting second at 27-14.
A little pat on the back for me. I had them second coming into this season, and they are sitting currently second. And, this could have gone either way for the Brooklyn Nets because the last few seasons have been quite underwhelming considering where we thought, the expectations we had on them. And a lot of it was going to ride on Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, how they would work together, how they would work in coordination with their coach. And we've seen this year, after parting ways with Steve Nash and acquiring Jacques Vaughn as their head coach, they've just gone to another level. And it's almost been what has propelled them into where we thought that, playing at the level we thought that they could be initially. And I don't see a limit on what they can achieve in playoffs. When you've got some of the absolute top tier talent in the competition on the one team, and they seem to be getting along well now. Things seem to be, traveling without, as much controversy as it did once upon a time. I'm really bullish. As much as I want the Boston Celtics to obviously go as far as they can, I'm really bullish on the Brooklyn Nets come playoffs time.
I couldn't be more happy to be as wrong as I was. I mean, I put them 6. They're sitting second, and the main reason I put them 6 was because of the issues that came out of the offseason and the previous season. We talked about it all last week, but I think getting rid of Steve Nash was probably their saving grace, in my opinion.
I agree.
Now they're finally playing as that cohesive team that we've been wanting to see for the longest time. Ben Simmons, he knows he's not the second guy, offensively especially, and he may not even be the third guy, but God, defensively, he's still very, very capable.
Just quickly, though, today,
go ahead.
Man had 0 points against Boston.
I saw that.
He had 0. He took 3 field goal attempts. He had 0 points.
Well, when KD's out, you gotta do more.
You're taking the piss.
Did they win or did they?
No, they lost.
Yeah.
He got some boards. I think he had a double-digit assist at halftime.
It was
just
a
about
strange box score, wasn't it?
But the fact is, you cannot have 0 points and be one of the elite players on this team. That's garbage. And I think, especially as you said, Lee, with KD out now, once we saw him go down at points last year, their record and standings took a trip off a cliff. With KD out now, MCL sprain suffered the other day, will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. Hopefully nothing more. If it is longer, you could see them start to slide a little bit. But that being said, I think their depth at the moment, TJ Warren's looked fantastic. Joe Harris coming back, Seth Curry. They should have enough to carry the offensive load so long as Simmons actually puts his hand up and takes a bit of accountability.
I think when I was watching the broadcast today, I think Kenny the Jet Smith was saying that he should play a similar role to how Westbrook's playing at the moment, with the exception of jacking up threes, of course.
But what do we say? He took 25 shots. I think it might have been a little bit more today against Dallas. We don't want quite that many.
Not in terms of those taking that amount of shots, but maybe just in terms of the aggression he has driving towards the hoop, because we've seen in previous seasons he's got the track record of being a really dangerous player for the opposition to guard when he's driving to the hoop, because he's got that athleticism, and he's really tall at that position that he plays as well. So he's a hard matchup for opposition guards.
You said, what are you talking about? Ben Simmons, right?
Ben Simmons, yeah.
He had 10 assists today. Great for him. I just want to see him look at the basket more and look to score more.
That's the key. Just the fact that you can pretty much double team a player, whether it's Kyrie more so at the moment, just because he's not gonna score there.
Yeah, he needs to make it a threat.
I just have my mic on mute. I'm crushing it today, but he's got to at least have that intent to want to score. So
I think so.
I think that'll be the key piece moving forward. Again, likewise, I see them as a really, really tough out. Should everyone be fit and healthy at season's end? Again, the only concern probably comes with their big man stocks. Giannis and Brook, Embiid are just going to piss on Claxton. So that's my only concern for them moving forward.
Claxton, if you're going to say something bad about him, say something good about him, because he has improved immensely this season, I think, especially
he's good, but
interiorly defensive wise, he's been great. I think he's averaging a fair few blocks a game.
Yeah, but
I know, up against Embiid, up against Jokic,
Pound Town, baby.
Yeah, but I reckon he'll be serviceable.
All right. Well, there we go. Let's move ahead to a team that we think will feature heavily at season's end. Boston, Lee. They currently sit first at 31-12.
They do. Coming into the season, I had them 4th. I just thought going out, they had the shortest off season, as did the Golden State Warriors. They lost
Gallinari.
Udoka at the start of the season. I thought, do they have the momentum to carry this through to a new season? And I thought they did a little bit. That's why I put them at 4th, but they're sitting at 1. They've carried that momentum and some. Jason Tatum I didn't think he was going to be put into MVP talks this year. He is in MVP talks.
8-4 at the moment.
Jaylen Brown's embraced that 1B role, or you could probably say 2 now. And then Malcolm Brogdon coming along, he's been absolutely great when he needs to be. You know, he does exactly what they ask of him on each given night.
He's such a meat and potatoes type player, Malcolm Brogdon. He's nothing flashy, but he makes the correct play more often than not. And they're the really important players on your team come playoffs.
Yep.
That in combination with being a really good leader and high basketball IQ, it's invaluable.
I'd love to just, in terms of the Lakers, I know it'd be a pretty stacked second unit, but having Westbrook and Brogdon on your bench. One guy who's just a runner and gunner, who's an absolute freak show. He must, it's kind of like there's a million things going on in his brain at once. And then you got someone just to level him out a little bit, to hold the rock, slow it down.
Yin and yang.
Yeah. So I agree with everything you've just said, Lee. I think, Jaylen Brown's the perfect Robin there to Tatum, and can even be that Batman on any given night when he has to be. I think just for the season now, it's ensuring the health of Rob Williams, who's just come back, Al Horford, ensuring there's no injuries, no kind of doubts or question marks hanging over their head come season's end. I likewise predicted them fourth, certainly surpassed where I thought they'd be at the moment. They had an average week or two a couple of weeks ago in which they got knocked off by the Magic a couple of times. But since then, they've really steadied and kind of put their foot down and put a bit of a gap between second, third, and fourth. So having a tremendous season thus far, the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, and I had them sitting at fourth coming into this season as well. And I think at the time we did our predictions, I think this was following the Ime Udoka controversy, and there was a lot of sort of uncertainty about the season ahead, who would be leading the charge. It was very disruptive. But yeah, the Boston Celtics, they've made me really proud to be a Boston Celtics supporter this year, because they've just gone to an absolute another level. And it's made me even more proud considering the first few months we didn't have Rob Williams, who's our defensive anchor. And NBA fans, I think, generally know how important Rob Williams is, but particularly Boston Celtics fans who watch them,
week in and week out.
Yeah, week in, week out.
Yeah.
So that made me really proud. And yeah, as we said, currently sitting in first, and that win over the Brooklyn Nets was sort of like a bit of a establishing 1 and 2 clearly at the moment.
Speaking of Rob Williams real quick, can someone please give me some insight on his nickname, Time Lord? Am I the only one that doesn't get it?
I remember the explanation, but I can't remember
Marvel
off the
fan,
top
is
of
he?
my head.
I don't
Big
think so. What
Peter
is
Quill
it?
fan?
If you know, drop him in the comments.
Time Lord.
Time Lord.
I can't.
Yeah,
actually
I can't say I'm familiar either.
No.
It's a fun name though. There you go.
Can you talk amongst
John,
yourself? I'm
bit of-
actually interested in
filler
finding
content.
that.
Okay. For the Celtics, so do you think they're probably the favourites in the East League?
I will say, I think Boston Celtics fans, especially Ro sitting here with us, would be disappointed if they didn't make the finals. I'll say that, but in saying that,
NBA finals or East?
NBA finals.
Okay.
But you can say that if you're a Bucks fan, if you're a Brooklyn fan. But yeah, they're sitting first in the East right now. What do you think?
For as much as they're sitting first, I still tend to probably lean towards the Bucks, just for the fact when they get Middleton, get everyone back fit and healthy. I just don't know who can stop Giannis.
Yep.
Ro, you found an answer, have you?
I found a bit of an answer.
What have you got for us, bud?
I wouldn't have picked this, but I'll just read it verbatim. Most people know the gist of it, as in the Time Lord nickname. We didn't, obviously. He became a social media sensation for poor timekeeping soon after being drafted in 2018. The Celtics center overslept and missed his introductory conference call with the media and subsequently missed his flight to Boston. Not the best note for the former Texas A&M player to start his NBA career. Did not know that.
I don't know that. Everyone calls him it. I
love it. I love how it's caught on. Fair play. Speaking about teams that we're proud of. Lee, your Charlotte Hornets currently sitting 15th at a league worst 11-32.
I had them 13th coming into the season. What else can you say but not good for these guys?
You can say plenty.
You can say a lot more, and I will say a little bit. And I'll start with.
I've got to go for you first.
Okay.
Say one positive thing first, and then we can bag on them. But can you come up with one positive thing to say? One thing.
Terry's 39-point game, and that's it.
A one-off occasion this year.
And Dennis Smith Jr. I haven't minded him.
Nick Richards.
And actually, I wanted to say, how did I forget? Mason Plumlee has been good.
Mace has been good.
Mace has been good. You know who hasn't though? Gordon Hayward. And
with
Gordon Hayward is one of these cases where the previous seasons you say injury is a concern, but when he's on the court, look, he's playing well. This season, he's still injury prone and he's not playing well. So that's your scare there. My biggest scare is LaMelo leaving, though. I'll be
leaving
in all sorts if he doesn't. It has to be on the table for him now.
pack her up for the Wemby Stakes. You get him,
Hope
LaMelo
so.
and Wemby running around together. Happy days.
Not impressed.
I think Michael Jordan would likely lock LaMelo up like prisoner style.
He could
He
do a
would-
job, couldn't he?
I think he
could
could.
still do a job compared to some of these donuts running around at the minute. Like, get MJ
Get
out
him
there.
out there.
Did no one see MJ fall in the water playing golf?
No,
I
missed,
did
I
see that.
missed that. Did he?
Oh, we'll have to. Maybe we'll put it up. But yeah, he was playing golf. Was it like a pro AM or was it him just doing
I don't
his
know
own
if it was just
thing?
fun or a competitive game.
Anyway, he was on a bit of a slope, let's just say, near a like a
And he's
lake or a
gone down.
water, and he tried to chip it over, and his old legs gave way, and he fell into the water. Not
it's a
the
funny
MJ
one. You
love.
need to see it.
I'll have to have a look. Absolutely. Something I won't be having a look at is probably another game of the Hornets season.
Neither.
Good segue.
I don't have too much to say just because we've got a lot more to get through, more exciting teams, but just their defense is awful. Offensively, they're not too bad to watch. They've been better in the last week or so in fairness to them, but I think, they're just, there's nothing that excites me about them. So pack her up for next year.
Yeah, they're so far off the pace. I had them at 11th.
I had 14.
Yeah, looking back on it, very optimistic, and particularly given how disruptive their off season was. Like it seemed like every 2 weeks there was another negative headline in the news. So looking back on it, probably shouldn't have put them as high, but yeah, they've been absolutely awful this season, Charlotte.
Here we go. Just quickly, you mentioned our socials a moment ago, right? Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok. Guys, check them out, all of them, if you want to keep up to date with all your latest NBA and NBL content. I'm going to put up a question, I think, maybe later tonight. My question of the week to all you guys out there, listeners-wise, drop your answer for your best antihistamine. Because I tell you what, I am battling here, and I would love to hear. I've tried the Telfast today.
Phenergan. Now, Phenergan puts you to sleep, so
probably not great before a podcast.
Yeah, don't do it before the pod.
Mate,
but
I've been chomping the Telfast like Tic Tacs today, and I'm
Telfast are just lollies, really.
just
They
a
don't
little
do
pick me
anything.
up.
Yeah.
Let's go to the Chicago Bulls. I predicted them 8th. They're currently sitting 10th at 19-23. Had a slightly better last week or two, yet I think the impact of not having Lonzo has certainly been felt.
It's the difference.
Oh, it is. It is, isn't it? Like even last season when they had him, they were top of the East, weren't they?
Yes.
And they just took a trip off a cliff.
Yep.
DeRozan, I think, has been absolutely money again. 26 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Levine has been scoring a lot better and more efficiently since the start of December. He needs to keep doing it. He's kind of almost taken a little bit of a back seat on the offensive side, but he just needs to attack.
It's non-negotiable at this point with Levine.
It is 100%. And, they're such a funny team because they've been quite impressive against the good teams in the league, the Bucks, Celtics, Nets. Yet they've dropped far too many winnable games.
Yes.
So, I wouldn't be surprised to see them possibly make moves at the deadline. Vooch is a name that's rumoured quite heavily. Even Pat Williams, Kobe White. I know Apex. I know he'll probably be happy to see Pat Williams go at this point. But, I wouldn't be surprised to see them make a couple of moves and just try and, make the play-in at least.
Yeah.
At least that's got to be the bare minimum.
Item 8th as well, sitting 10th. When this team got formed, I wanted so badly for it to work because I like so many of the players there quite and the core they built.
Who's your favourite there?
I really like DeMar. Yeah, I'd probably have to go DeRozan. But the fatter of the fact of the matter. You've given every combination possible there, but the right
Sounds
one.
like a bloody Dr. Seuss.
I'm never using that saying again. The fact of the matter is it has not worked. And I spoke a couple of weeks ago. It's blow up time. Vooch trade just didn't work. He's not a great interior defender, which doesn't help their odds. Lonzo being out doesn't help either.
Horrible just quickly with that trade, the Vooch one.
Yeah.
I think it was Wendell Carter, a couple of draft picks, which has resulted in Franz Wagner and someone else. But it hasn't aged well, has it, for the Bulls?
It hasn't, no. No.
I mean, I don't have much more else to say.
Do you think if they had Alonso, it'd be a different kettle of fish, possibly their league?
I don't think they'd be contenders. I think
That'd be better though, wouldn't they?
they would be better without a doubt. But I just think their ceiling, their highest ceiling, is still too low, especially for the East.
Could they make the playoffs?
Oh yeah.
Like, could they finish the season in the top 6? Do you think?
Yeah.
You
sure.
do?
Yeah.
How many games are they behind? Probably a few.
They're a few behind at the moment. I'll check that
I'll
for you
talk while you check.
Yep.
I had them at 7th coming into this season. Again,
4 games behind.
4 games behind. So yeah,
It's doable.
Potential is there. But I think the proof is in the pudding, really, with them. Like, particularly with Alonso Ball going out last year. Their run home last season was absolutely horrendous. They looked like one of the worst teams on the run home. But then their first part of the season when Alonso was out there, they looked like a completely different team. The structure of the team just looked A1, really.
Yeah.
Like, it looked perfect, and they were getting the wins on the board. I think they're capable of making playoffs, but I tell you what, like, you don't have I don't think if you're a Bulls fan, you have a heap of hope for the future at this point, because DeMar's getting on. Lonzo is a guy who you just can't rely on being out there. Levine has looked better, but I still don't think that's enough to give you hope that they're going to re-elevate themselves into true contender status anytime soon.
And even if they do make, say, the 6th spot, what they verse 3, you think of the top 3 out of the East is going to be Milwaukee, Boston, and Brooklyn. Imagine Chicago coming up against any of those teams. Probably sweepstakes.
It would be.
Well, fellas, we've still got plenty of teams to get through here, so we'll push on. The Cleveland Cavaliers, Lee, currently sitting 4th with a record of 27-16. What do you reckon? The acquisition of Donovan Mitchell has certainly paid dividends at the moment, hasn't it?
Especially compared to the Gobert.
Guaranteed All-Star, isn't he? 29 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, dropping a 70-point game. Him and Garland have meshed together so well.
Been massive. I had them 3rd coming in. They're sitting 4th, so doesn't really matter. They're not too many games back. I really like this young squad. They're very promising. Whether they are true contenders for the title, there's some questions to be raised. Is Donovan Mitchell in the piece that can bring them to a title?
The piece that'll bring them a title came back today after 380 days. Ricky Rubio.
I know.
Made his reappearance in the league in their matchup against the Portland Trail Blazers. Fantastic to see him back once again. Yeah, it was 380 odd days that he'd been sitting out.
Good to see.
So it just adds to that depth with him, Levert, Osman, Love, strong bench as well.
They've got a very strong core and a strong bench. But you think of the teams that have won the title over the last couple of years, they've always had a top 5 player in their squad. Is Donovan Mitchell a top 5 player? Probably not. And then my other concern is whether Evan Mobley can improve to the point where he contributes solid in finals if they made it.
He needs to play his role, I think.
He needs to play his role, yeah. Adam 3rd, they're sitting 4th.
I think the only thing I predicted them 6th. I think the only thing to work on in the second half of their season would be improving their road record. They're below 500 on the road at the moment, so I think that's certainly the only concern for me going forward. Great to see Rubio back, as you said, Lee. Not only their starting 5, super solid. Isaac Okoro has been a lot better lately. I hadn't given up on him, but I was a lot lower on him heading into the season. It's been certainly serviceable. But I just think their bench as well, as we said, those names, Rubio, Love, Levert, Osman, big Robin Lopez running around like Coco the Clown out there. Sideshow Bob, that's what I was thinking. I love where they're at the moment. And if it's not this year, I think next year's the year to really go for it.
I agree.
But I would hate to face them in a playoff series at the moment. So loving what they're doing. I think they'll be a top 4 seed come season's end.
It's looking likely, isn't it? I had them 5th coming into this season, and to be honest with you, like, I was a bit sort of sheepish on calling them a true contender for the majority of the season so far. Like, I feel like it's only been recently that I think that they can truly contend come the end of the year. I think everything we've mentioned so far in terms of them having the star players, having the guys who play their role in and out every single night, having the depth, having a really good coach. As you were mentioning, Nick, I think that's a valid point about the road record. I think that needs to have a bit of an uptick shortly, just for the self-belief, because come playoffs, there's no running away from that from the road. So, and you got to compete at a really high level. So I think I'm a believer in the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I haven't been for the majority of this season, but they've shown enough to me so far.
Do you know something that's been playing on my mind lately?
Give it to us.
How gassed up Shaq would be feeling, and how many flowers he'd be giving himself, and how much credit he'd be giving himself for saying Donovan Mitchell isn't capable of taking the next step. Probably knowing that he would, but Donovan Mitchell has taken that next step. I think he, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like so he was saying that as like, you think he was saying as like reverse psychology motivation. Yeah.
I think he's given himself the flowers, like, you know. Yeah, it's been playing on my mind.
Lads, 6 teams down, 9 to go. This is a team we'll rip through pretty quickly.
Please do.
The Detroit Pistons sitting 14th with a record of 12-33. Once Cade Cunningham went down, it was virtually season over, I think. Highlight to certainly being Killian Hayes. Great to see him after almost pretty well, you could argue, should have been out of the league. He's reasserted himself and could actually be a piece on this team moving forward. Ivy and Duran's looked like really tidy acquisitions in the draft, especially Duran, he just eats offensive boards for breakfast, this guy.
He's aggressive.
And then for me, the highlight undoubtedly has got to be Bogdanovic. 21 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists on 41.5% from 3. All about building now for next year, getting Cade back, seeing which pieces are going to stick. You know, not too much else I have to say about them, but
Item 11, sitting 14. They're one of the teams that I thought maybe could have made a run for the play, and I didn't think by any stretch of the imagination that this was their year. Cade went down, different story, but it's been a blessing in disguise. It's probably saved Killian Hayes' career, to be honest, because he's been given the minutes to show what he can actually do.
No, you're absolutely right.
Mimic everything you said. Young Dwight Howard, as in Jalen Duran has been, probably.
He gets more offensive forwards than he does defensive.
Yeah.
Doesn't he?
Been great.
He just gets in there. He's a real little piglet in there.
I wonder if he's one of the only players in the league whose ratio is inclined that way, more offensive over defensive.
Wouldn't be many of them.
I don't think there would be, would there?
Nope.
It speaks to how like aggressive he is pretty much on both ends, really. I had them 12th coming into this season. If you're the Detroit Pistons, like, yes, it's sort of a bit of a write-off season, but like, who cares given what's at the end of this season? Like, I think this is a very, very much if the Detroit Pistons hypothetically had a season where they were vying for a playoff spot, I think that'd be disappointing, really, because it's just not within their plans to do, or it shouldn't be within their plans. Particularly, we talk about Wemby, but everyone keeps forgetting about Scoot. And if it was any other season...
It's quite a deep draft, and I know those are the only two that we've really spoken about, and we'll certainly look to do more draft stuff as we progress. It's quite a talented class coming up, so there's a lot of excitement building around it.
Yeah, it's a season where you don't mind if you finish towards the bottom of the standings, for sure.
Well, let's move ahead. A team I predicted 15th, row, the Indiana Pacers currently sit 7th with a record of 23-19.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
So fun. Like, I truly hope they get a playoff spot. I am loving them. Yeah. Such a fun team.
Oh, they are. I had them 13th. I was very low on them coming into this season.
And that's them 15th. That is not aged well. 15th
from me.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. And like, this is nothing against like Tyrese Halliburton, because I think most of us thought he was going to be a shining light on this team, regardless of what their record was. But he is just absolutely like one of the most likable players in the league, I feel. And he's only early in his career, and he's already
20 points, 4 rebounds, and leading the league in assists with 10.3 a game.
Wow,
I knew that he was. I knew he was going to be their shining light, but I'd be kidding myself, and I feel like you guys would be too if you said he was going to be this good.
Yeah,
he's gone way beyond my expectations. And their team as a core is just playing hard. They're playing tough, and that's probably why they're sitting 7th.
Rookie there, sorry, you go, right?
No, all I was going to say was the other thing that probably boded well for them, which I had in my notes for my season preview, is the fact that they had a really uninterrupted off season rather.
Yeah.
So a lot of stability. They sort of all knew what their role was and what the direction was going forward. So yeah, I love the Pacers this season.
Mathurin started, he was absolutely nuclear to start the season. Cooled down a little bit since, but you'd say probably second still for Rookie of the Year, maybe even a candidate for Sixth Man of the Year. You know, and after requesting a trade to the Lakers, Miles Turner's been really, really good. Buddy Hield's been money. I'm loving what they're doing. I wouldn't be that surprised to see them drop off in the second half of the season, but I think then again, there's been enough of a sample size to kind of show that they could keep this going. You know, very well done to Rick Carlisle. I think he's probably my pick for Coach of the Year at the moment. And I hope they keep running it because they are super fun to watch. You know, Nemhard out here just dropping bombs from throws, getting match winners. You know, Buddy Hield, as we spoke about, Miles Turner, Halliburton. You know, he's an all-star, isn't he? There's no
possibly,
you know, probably not a starter. You wouldn't think there in the East.
But
he's guaranteed a spot, you would say.
Like, we probably don't think he'll get a starter spot, but if he did, like, it's all credit to him. And I wouldn't begrudge him anyway. So, yeah.
I think he'll get a starting spot.
Starting spot?
Yeah.
Huge. Fingers crossed.
You heard it here first.
There we go.
Hancock.
The Miami Heat, I currently sit in 8th with a record of 23-20. I had disappointing, to say the least, so far, because I predicted them 5th. That being said, they have battled all season long with injuries. They got a really good win over the Bucks earlier today, but they are often a lot of times this year, they're going into games with 7 or 8 men on their roster, which is compounding the issue. When you're having to play, 7 or 8 guys that many minutes, the likelihood of injury increases. So it's just kind of a compounding problem. You know, I think Bam's been fantastic this season. A DPOY candidate.
Career best year for Bam.
Oh, absolutely.
I think so.
I think so. And I think for me, Jimmy Butler, for as good as he is, he's still probably one of the most underrated players in the league, I think, with what he does for this team. He's almost, when you think of the top 15, 20 players in the league, some people don't even consider him. But just watching him as of late, he's tremendous. And I think for him, the key, and I guess for the Heat to unlock the best of him, is for him to be aggressive.
Agree.
Sometimes he kind of, I guess, drifts in and out of the offense.
Takes a back seat.
But we saw in that finals a couple of years ago when he was playing pretty well 48 minutes and giving it everything against the Lakers, putting up 40 points a game. That's when he's at his best. So
I'll offer a different...
I think they could squeeze a little bit more out point-wise from Jimmy.
I'll offer a different perspective to that. I think on any night, Jimmy can go out and do what he did in those playoffs in the bubble. But I remember when Bam Adebayo came to the team, the consensus was in a few years, this will be Bam's team and Jimmy will take a back seat. And it wouldn't surprise me if that's exactly what's happening right in front of our eyes. You know, Bam's playing the best ball of his life. Jimmy's taken a bit of a back seat. He's aging. But yeah, I wouldn't be...
Could you squeeze him a bit more, do you think, for some more points?
Maybe towards the latter end of the season if they're looking for home court. They're sitting 5th right now. Or 8th. Geez, 8th right now. I put them 5th. So yeah, I think I think they should squeeze a bit more out of them, yes.
Ro, for the Heat yourself, what do you think? Where did you predict them?
I had them 6th coming into this season, so slightly lower than where they are. Just touching on that, Jimmy Butler taking a back seat. Like, yes, I do think that that's what they're trying to do, but I think if the Miami Heat are any chance of making any sort of noise in the playoffs, he can't take a back seat at the moment. He really can't. He really can't. He's so vital to their success. He's the type of player who's like a lead by example type player.
Put the team on his shoulders and let's see how far we can go.
It would be so motivating as a teammate to see what he can achieve. And you saw in the 2020 bubble playoffs and taking his team all the way to the finals. It was on the back of Jimmy Butler and his efforts out there on the floor.
Ro, do you think they could be active in the trade market? Duncan Robinson, maybe even Kyle Lowry. Could they be potential candidates to move on and look to strengthen this roster, given Lowry's aging, he's struggling with injuries? You know, I feel like couldn't remember the last time he consistently played 5 to 10 games in a row.
No.
Duncan Robinson has arguably one of, if not the worst contract within the league. If anyone, I think it's just about getting rid of him now. Whatever they get, they're going to get, jack all for
Donuts,
him. But there are pieces here as well that you could look to move on. Maybe a Struce as well in a package. Like, could they be active over the next couple of weeks?
Definitely. Like, if you're the Miami Heat, you cannot be content with this current roster that you have at the moment. If you either make two decisions, like you either start the rebuild, or you make some changes to positively impact your franchise. I don't think they're at the stage where they need to rebuild at the moment, and they've got the players who they can sort of acquire some new players to assist Jimmy and Bam, because they've both got a lot to give. So I think they need to get going.
Here's a player. I saw this earlier today. I saw that I think he's working out with the Lakers. Do we all remember the name Myers Leonard?
Yes, and for not good reasons either.
Not good reasons. Well, he's working out with the Lakers as we speak. A former Heat player himself, due to injuries, and had some anti-Semitic remarks that kind of had him thrown out of the league. He's since, from all reports, spent quite a lot of time ingraining himself in the Jewish culture.
We must have read the exact same article. I was reading it at work today.
Yeah, bloody oath. There we go. Have I done a good recount of that?
Yeah.
Could he be a player that the Heat look to maybe bring back? He's familiar with their setup, their personnel. If things don't work out with the Lakers trial, could maybe Pat Riley say, "Okay, you're a changed man. Let's get you back."
Yeah, second chance, maybe. Because we've spoken about in the past the need for the Miami Heat to acquire another, at least half decent big guy. Because Dwayne Dedman isn't that guy, really. Did
you see when he got ejected the other day? He threw, was it like a Theragun or something?
Yes.
I didn't see that.
Was he ejected?
He was angry at. Was he angry at Spo?
To be honest, I shouldn't have brought it up because I'm not so well versed on the actual straight facts of what happened. But I think he threw like a Theragun over some people in the crowd. And anyway, something led to another, and he got ejected, and they only had about 8 blokes on the roster. So
maybe the person in the crowd had tight quads. You never know.
You never know. But there you go. I'd certainly take Leonard over Dedman.
Yeah,
and stretch the floor a little more so and open that lane up for Jimmy.
Yep.
So there we go, lads. We will push on with our next team. All right, Lee, let's move ahead to the Milwaukee Bucks, currently sitting third with a record of 27-15. What have you made of their season thus far?
I had them first, sitting third. I thought they were going to be first because I thought they were going to be completely healthy. I thought Chris Middleton was coming back. How many games has he played? 1 or 2?
Not many. I actually picked him up in our fantasy this morning just to see injury replacement. But it feels like he might never suit up.
Well, I hope so because Giannis can only do this for so long. He's doing an amazing job kind of carrying. He's not carrying the team.
32, 12 and 5.
Yeah.
Another MVP-like campaign.
MVP season. He's not carrying them on the back as Luka's carrying the Mavs on the back because they've still got some serviceable players. But Gotti's doing a lot. Drew's been good as that second option. He's been a little bit inconsistent, but you can't be on your A game every game. Really like what I'm seeing from Bobby Portis. Actually, I think he's a sleeper for 6th man of the year.
The eyes tell a story, don't they?
They do.
As crazy as they might be, they tell a story.
Bloody oath.
And Brook Lopez, I mean, the talks of him in Depoy talk speaks words,
Yeah.
Does speak words.
Speaks volumes.
I feel like that's a Lee catchphrase. I've heard you say that before.
I think Lee almost all these kind of well-known catchphrases.
I stuff them up.
You put your own little spin on them.
They never come out seamless, do they?
Never.
Whereas Nick, you've got them you're like a Woody doll with the string at the back. You're have the same 5 or 6 catchphrases every week.
Yeah.
Lee's the defect doll that hasn't been made properly.
Got a little dent in the side of the head there.
That's all I'm saying.
No, it's good. No, I agree with everything you've said. I think, I predicted them second, third at the moment. The reason, I guess, comparing when we were talking about the Celtics and Brooklyn a moment ago, the reason why I have so much faith in this team is we haven't really seen this big three together yet. I think they've played a combined 5 games, but when they're all fit and healthy, I don't know who stops them. Just with the depth they've got, I think it's almost a benefit that Middleton's been out. They've, Giannis has sat a few games. Drew's missed a few games. We're seeing players like Javon Carter, the rookie Beauchamp. Is it AC Green, the other rookie they've got there? So. All these other players stepping up, getting valuable game time. They're probably not going to play in the rotation come season's end. But they're the oldest squad in the league.
Jeez.
So they need to have a little bit of man management, which I think it's good at the moment. They're in such a healthy position. I don't think they care if they finish first or second. They've got that championship pedigree. They know what it takes.
Yep.
If they can rest a few guys here and there, I think they're going to be really tough out at season's end. So loving where they're at the moment. As you said, seeing Brook back dominating on both sides of the floor. It's tremendous. And having a guy like Bobby Portis as your backup centre, what a benefit.
Oh, it's so valuable, isn't it? I had them first coming into this season, and I still don't think it's beyond capability. Like, they'd probably only be a game or two back, a few games back now.
They're a couple back now, I believe.
Yeah,
three and a half.
3.5. So still not too far back. But look, I'm not necessarily worried about the regular season for the Milwaukee Bucks. I think if you're coming up against them in playoffs, you have to be on your absolute A+ game every single night, or else you're going to get found out. When you've got a guy as incredible and once in a generation as Giannis on your team, alongside other guys who play their role really well and probably undersung a little bit, I think they're going to be still a very big threat come playoffs.
Right, as a homeowner yourself now, you're like, oh, where's this going?
Yes, intrigued.
I'm not sure how much the tools work you've done, but if you had to lean, two of the biggest power tool brands we have here, Ryobi and Milwaukee.
Yes.
Do you have a preference?
I'm big Milwaukee fan.
Big on the drill?
Yeah, no, you'll see me out there any given day, just hammering and drilling stuff and
love
whatnot.
That. Love that. Big fan of the Milwaukee boom boxes, actually. The big speakers they have on the sides. They're kind of the hardcore ones. Lee, you big on the tools, mate?
No,
What's your favourite power tool?
I couldn't even name one. I want to ask a basketball related question right now.
Yeah, good.
It is because I think he is to get to the finals and especially win the championship. Do we think Chris Middleton is vital to them winning the chip as their closer?
Yeah, I think he probably is, to be honest.
I'm going to say no.
Right, okay.
Yeah. I think they could still do it without him. I think they could, but I think having him would just be a real big boost that would probably, in my eyes, still have them as favourite in the East.
I'm not taking anything out of what the Boston Celtics did last year. They played phenomenal postseason, especially. But Milwaukee, if they had Chris Middleton, I mean, Giannis took Milwaukee to Game 7 versus Boston without Chris Middleton. If they had him, I don't think Boston would have been playing in the finals.
No, I think we all agree on that.
No, I don't agree.
You don't agree?
No.
You're not buying that?
No, absolutely not. I'm putting my green glasses on every single day of the week.
Are they kind of a lighter shaded green or the darker green tinge that we've come to know and love from Milwaukee?
No, the lighter shaded green.
You don't believe you reckon the Celtics are winning that one?
Put some respect on our name, please.
Oh, there we go.
I've got to stick with our boys. I've got to stick with our boys.
In fairness, I don't think. Yeah, I think we probably would have all lost a little bit of respect for you if you had flipped on them like that. So fair play.
You cannot do that.
Well, let's go to a team out east there, out in the Big Apple, New York, the Ping Pong Knicks. They're sitting sixth, surprisingly, at the moment, with a record of 23-19. Such a weird team because some nights they look great and can match it honestly with the best in the league.
They can.
And again, other nights it's kind of like the Bulls. They drop so many winnable games, but they've been a lot better as of late. They started slowly, getting wins on the board now, and they're up to sixth, and that's largely, I think, been off the back of Jalen Brunson, who's 21.5 points, 3.5 rebounds, 6.5 assists, and especially as of late, RJ Barrett just coming back into the team. But whilst he was out, he really did carry them.
Yeah, he did. He put him on his shoulders, didn't he? But I had the New York Knicks 10th coming into this season.
I had 11th.
I had 10th.
There you go.
No, we were all quite low, weren't we?
Very low on them.
Right.
I think that spoke to the talent, though. Like we didn't think they were going to be that bad. I think it's just how good the East was this year.
Yeah, I'm with you. And yeah, like I think Jalen Brunson's been such an incredible addition for them, and he's sort of like provided a bit of like leadership almost, like for a team which has sometimes been known as a blasé team all over the place, haven't really got any direction. I think he's provided that sort of clear mindset, and that's really evident on a night in, night out basis.
I think he's really brought tempo control.
Yeah, control. That's a better word.
Sometimes, King Julius.
Yeah.
Was that Madagascar, King Julius?
Yes.
King Julian.
Oh, King Julian.
But he sometimes goes at 1,000,000 miles an hour. You're just trying to piece together the movie, aren't you? There.
No, I was trying to think of his accent. You know how he's
Julian.
Yeah, that's not bad from you.
That's all right.
That's quite good.
That's avid Madagascar watcher here.
Yeah, there you go. But
if
he just kind of slows them down when they need to be slowed, and he speeds them up when they need to. He's a real kind of, it's kind of that thing that doesn't show up in the box scores. It's just that real ability to read the game. He does that really well.
I might be putting my fantasy glasses on here because I have Jay Brunson on my team, but I think that trade was very underrated, and he was the turning point as to why they're sitting
what
sixth
did the Mavs
right
get? I'm trying to think what they actually got.
I don't know.
Ntilikina?
Oh.
Was he involved?
Yeah, he was involved.
I can't actually remember, to be honest.
But I think it's very, very underrated. He brings not only ball handling, but the passing ability. He's been great offensively. Very, very high on Jay Bruns.
Jay Bruns. It's a new name.
What about King Julian? 24.5 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists this season. Is he going to be an all-star?
Yes. Yeah, he is for mine.
So they get 2 then, do you reckon, Brunson and him?
Oh, that's a good question.
We had this talk last week.
I'm going to, again, put my fantasy glasses on and put Randall into the team, but I think Jalen Brunson would definitely warrant a spot.
They just need to iron out, I think, their shooting. They're not a great shooting team, and they give up a heap of threes. At the moment, it really surprises me the fact they're sixth.
Me too.
I don't see them as a threat at all this year. But still, fair play to them. It's good to see the Knicks are somewhat relevant again. We need another viral bing bong similar moment just to keep them in the forefront of their minds. But good stuff from New York. Lee, a team we probably don't need to spend quite as long on. The Orlando Magic sitting. I predicted 13th. They are currently sitting 13th with a record of 16-26.
Now, Adam 14th, sitting 13th. Not much at all to say about them. Paolo Banchero has been great.
Locked up Rookie of the Year already. Done and dusted.
Throw away the key.
21 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. Made man.
It surprised
Guy's
me.
Money.
It has surprised me how much of a backstep they've taken with Cole Anthony's development. I haven't seen him on the court much at all, to be honest. It's probably because Markel Fultz has come back in the rotation. But, still individually developing. Love what Franz Wagner is doing.
The problem is, I think, with that, coming back to the Cole Anthony piece, the fact is pretty much every player outside of Terrence Ross, Gary Harris, they're all so young that there's not enough minutes to give everyone that opportunity they need. So it feels like there's almost been a bit of a cull in that, and that, he's kind of gone by the wayside a little bit there. I'm just stoked real quickly. He's about to rejoin the team. Jonathan Isaac. This is a guy I have just longed for the last, what's it been now? He's been out
a decade.
2.5 seasons it is.
God.
I think he's, without a doubt, when he's healthy, one of the best two-way players within the league. He was, just before he went down, that 2.5 seasons ago, about to really flex some muscle on the league. He's just returning now with the Lakeland Magic. Hopefully see him back in the next few days, a week or so. But it's been a hell of a long time coming. So it's kind of, I guess the happiness of seeing Rubio back today. This is, tenfold of that, just because it has been such a long journey for him. So I truly hope he is able to find a bit of form and reassert himself back into the league.
Yeah, I'm stoked for him. Hopefully he can string a bit of time together, because it's always a little bit of a worry, or it's a huge worry, really, when someone comes back after an absence that long.
Not many people have one that long, do they?
No, not that long. Absolutely not. So, yeah, really good news that he's on his way back. I don't have a heap to say about them. I had them dead last in my predictions, 15th. Bol, he's been incredible this season. He's really should be in contention for most improved player. I don't think he'll win it, but I think he's improved immeasurably, really, compared to where he was once upon a time, which was almost out of the league. So I think the Orlando
Didn't
Magic.
you say to kick him out of the league? Did you?
Bowl. Don't put that on my.
No. Did one of us?
I think we all. I don't know if we all did, but I think.
Or maybe it was reports we saw that he was probably close to maybe being out of the league. Or wasn't he rumored going to China or somewhere?
It wouldn't surprise me. Like
he's turned it around though massively.
Yeah,
he's been incredible.
But I think it's due to the change of scenery. Not that he's playing better, but the coaching staff that they're actually giving him minutes. You know, would you disagree?
No, I agree. I agree. Sometimes opportunity is everything, and a fresh change of scenery sometimes does it for you.
Yep.
Lads, we'll move ahead. Philadelphia, the 76ers, I predicted them first, currently sitting 5th at 25-16. Started very slowly as well, starting to find a bit of a groove now, despite going down to OKC earlier today. The big thing is I still need to see more of Harden and Embiid together because, that is it. That's the big factor to determine if they are an actual genuine contender or not. We just haven't seen enough of them together. Their depth is really, really solid. Their top-tier talent is there. It's just a question whether they can all stay healthy on the court together. Their defense is actually really solid at the moment.
Yep.
Sitting third in the league, while their offense is middle of the pack. Look for that to kind of pick up once we see Embiid and Harden together a little bit more. So Maxey, I think, is a budding star. Tobias Harris, as I say, week in and week out and year in and year out, needs to give more for his money.
Yeah. I don't think we've ever said a nice thing about Toby, have we?
He's just I remember we said one good thing when he was getting married and said congratulations to him.
Well, not one good on-court
related
thing.
Probably not in that case, but he's just an average player getting paid superstar money.
He is, isn't he?
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. If he was getting paid, 20 million a season, I'd be like, okay, all right, that's it. But if you're getting paid 35, 40 million a year, got to be better.
Yep.
But Philly, lads, what did you...
I had second, sitting 5th. I don't have too much to say about them. They get a lot of their points from free throws. Both Joel Embiid and James Harden are very good, and I think it's a skill to be able to get to the line as much as they do.
That's a dark art.
It's a dark art. You'd say that. It just worries me come playoff time. Given how close each and every game is usually in the playoffs, if they don't get a couple of those calls, that could be their downfall.
And the whistle tightens, doesn't it? In the playoffs, there's not as many calls.
Yeah, you're not likely to get those.
So they're probably going to have to look into not trying to draw as many fouls. But I like the direction they're heading right now.
Can you, before you go there, bro, can you both do me a favor?
Yes.
Next season, and the season's coming. If I ever in my life predict them to finish first again, can you say shut up and change it?
Well, I thought that at the start of this season, but still did it. Sometimes
I'm just a sucker.
Go with your gut.
I think this is one of the seasons, opposed to your other ones where you stuck them first, where it could have been warranted, and it's still. I mean, it's not out of the question.
No, it's out of the realms.
I don't think so.
It's
how far out of that.
So at the moment, they currently sit back of Boston. They sit 5 games back, but they don't look like they're any hope.
No.
Philly, Ro, what do you reckon, mate?
I had them third coming into this season, and to be honest with you, it feels a little bit deja vu-ish to me with the Philadelphia 76ers. Every season they're hovering around this 3rd to 6th mark, and it never really until they do something legitimate in the playoffs, which might mean at the very least making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm just not going to have any huge amount of hope for them. They're a solid regular season team when you've got guys like Joel Embiid and James Harden, in addition to Tyrese Maxey on your team. You're probably going to perform well and get wins on the board, but I'm not too high on them come playoffs still.
Kind of like the boy who cried wolf a little bit, isn't it? That fact that kind of seeing is believing with them. They've kind of tooted their horn so much, but we haven't actually seen any evidence of it so far. But we'll push ahead, lads. 2 to go. The Toronto Raptors currently sitting 11th with a 19-23 record. Lee, what have you made of them thus far?
Yeah, I had them 9th, sitting 11th.
So did I.
So did I.
Oh, very good.
They've been tricky. I'd say, again, probably disappointing is the word. If I start with Scotty Barnes, he just hasn't taken that. I didn't think he'd take a massive leap, but I
did. I thought he would.
I thought he would continue to improve. And he's kind of just plateaued. He hasn't really taken any steps backwards. But
no, he has. His output and efficiency have both decreased.
Right. So he has taken a step backwards, which has been disappointing for starters. Fred VanVleet, he just hasn't been shooting well this season.
Another kid.
Yeah.
He's another kid. Pump him out. Get the factory open.
He's I think he's improved a little bit as of late, but still not great. Pascal Siakam, he's been great. I think he's been
All-Star.
I'd put him in the All-Star.
Yeah,
I'd put him over like Randall and Brunson if we're saying that. Disappointing would be the word for them.
Well, the word I use for them, and normally not a week goes by that I don't say it. I've held late into the piece. Row, what is it?
Mediocre.
The word is mediocre. It absolutely is. Just feels like the whole squad, it's just been, it's been run back. As you said, it kind of feels like they just run it back and they're continually banging their head against the wall. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again without seeing, a change.
Yeah, exactly. Expecting the change.
Expecting the change. That's where it feels like they're at the moment. Their bench is very, very ordinary. It scares me, their depth. Their starting 5 is just not clicking. Fred's been hit and miss. As we were saying, Scotty's taken a step back. Siakam has been the shining light. I think they could certainly be a team that could shake things up if they wanted to. They could really go a blow-it-up version, trade OG, trade Fred, kind of rebuild totally. Because at the moment, I just think this iteration of the team for this season and going forward, I don't think it's going to get them to where they want to be.
No, I think I'm with you. I had them 9th coming into this season. I had in my notes coming into this season that I really didn't like the look of them sitting outside the 8. And I thought it was a little bit disrespectful for me to have them outside of the 8, but they've just been awful this season. They really have. And I'm not speaking about Pascal Siakam because he's been really solid. But
I think he gets a pass.
He gets a pass mark. The rest of the guys in the class staying for detention, probably expelled at this point. Like they've just been really piss poor, really.
Internal or external suspension?
Could be an internal suspension, I think, at this point. Yeah. I liked what you said before about rebuild in terms of them having the pieces to actually do something with that, because there's sometimes these teams want to rebuild, but they don't necessarily have
the things to make it work.
Things to make it work, exactly. So I reckon that's the way to go for the Toronto Raptors. I think they've got the pieces. We talk about Gary Trent Jr., Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby. Like I really wouldn't want to let him go if I was the Toronto Raptors, but he is a super valuable piece if they wanted to make huge changes. So
I would entertain offers at the moment.
They were asking for 3 first rounds. Is that worth OG?
Rudy Gobert has screwed the whole system.
He has, hasn't he?
He has really dicked the whole league over because every Tom, Dick, and Harry now thinks they're worth 3 first round picks, and they're not. They're not. I don't think he is.
No, neither do I.
No, I love him, but I don't think he's either.
To an absolute max. 1 and a couple of second rounders and maybe a good piece or 2 in a package. A starting piece and a bench piece.
You both said rebuild. It's such a heavy word because rebuild to me sounds like you're starting from scratch. Whereas I don't think the Raps would, and I don't think that's what you mean either. I don't think they have to start from scratch. I think they just trade away. They're 2 big pieces. They're OG and Fred. I think that's probably a good idea to trade them away and then build from there.
So I think they can either rebuild or that they can reconstruct their team.
That's it.
That's a great word choice.
Good word.
I think it's the first time we used it on the podcast. But I think they've, as we said before, got the pieces to do either or. It's going to be dependent on where they see their future.
I agree. Let's move ahead to our 15th and final team. Your former lovely, the Washington Wizards, currently sitting 12th with a record of 18-24. Again, a very funny old season. Porzingis, I think, we were talking about him just before we came on air. Ro, he is a big man.
He's been good.
But he has been great this season. Looked sharp, 22 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, whilst Kuz has also had some quality performances. Just need to see more of Bradley Beal. I think he's only suited up for 24 games this season. And, their success, whatever their definition of success is this season, really hinges on him being fit and healthy. We know the talent he has. He's a 30 points per game scorer. Was it last year or the year before?
It's crazy to think that, isn't it?
The quality's there, but just need to see him suit up. They've been fun to watch. They've caused their fair share of upsets, but, I don't think they're going to cause any headaches in the postseason if they even make it there, because at the moment it's sitting 12th. So disappointing.
Not looking pretty.
A couple of teams, including the Wizards in the league, and it's like, what are you playing for at this stage? A lot of the teams, a majority of the teams are playing to make it to the finals and win the chip. A couple of bottom dwellers are playing for Wemby or Scoot. And like Raptors as well, Wizards, what are you playing for? What's your idea of success right now? I'm not sure, because Bradley Beal's not suiting up. But yeah, I mimic
reckon
everything.
For them, a first round would be their hope. Probably via the plane at this stage. I don't see them going any further than that, but I think that's where they would have set their expectations heading into the season.
That's their ceiling. Yeah, I think I'm with you, to be honest. I had them 14th coming into this season. I had notes coming into the season, and I still agree with it, even though he hasn't been out there, that even if Bradley Beal is out there and he's dropping 30 points a game, I don't think it's enough to elevate them into like any playoff contention.
Better
to be honest
at times when he has played. They've looked better without him.
They've been a little like, sometimes when they're so reliant on someone, you take them out and they look a bit more evenly balanced and a bit more unpredictable on their night. So yeah. That's not taking nothing away from Bradley Beal,
of course not.
I just don't think him scoring 30 a night, even when he is out there, is enough. So that's why I'd love the Washington Wizards to commit to something huge, like a rebuild. I really would.
Nuke it.
I'm
sure plenty of teams would take Kuz, wouldn't they?
It's been so obvious that Bradley Beal, for as good as a player as he is, he's not the guy to bring them even deep in the playoffs, even to the playoffs for that matter. Move on from Brad Beal.
There you go.
They should have some time ago, really.
Yeah, they should have.
Well, not a trade period comes and goes without hearing Bradley Beal in at least 27,000 rumours. So
Lakers man still interested?
Don't.
That'd be tasty, wouldn't it?
Oh, it would be tasty.
You have nothing to give them.
Sure we do. We got 2027 first round pick. We've got Lonnie Walker.
And Wenyan Gabriel. The cherry on top.
There you go. That's not a package. I don't know what is. I have a love-hate relationship with him. He does some really good things. Like today, he was quite good against the Mavs, despite them going down in double OT. And then other games, I just would love to put a fist to his head. But
try that on Gabriel.
He would eat me.
He would.
Literally. As a little snack, I reckon.
He would. Like
tasty snack at that. Fellas, there we go. We've ripped through all 15 teams within the Western Conference. For my eyes, I think this is one of the funnest years in terms of the talent in the East, the teams that it possesses. Still a lot of storylines to play out at the top, middle, and bottom of the standings. I'm keen to see how it plays out for the remainder of the season, lads.
It's going to be a hot end to the season. I'll tell you what else is hot. This room.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what.
We're not going to do we did a check of the old armpits at the start of the show. Should we do one now?
Let's not. Let's keep.
You know what? I'm not afraid.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
No,
that's not too bad. That's not too bad. I'm laying. That's quite impressive from you. Ro, you've got on the white and blue top. You should
3 for 3.
You see nothing. You can't even see
it. It's a loose fitting top.
I was about to say it was a tentative raise of the arm there.
I was so scared. That could have made or broken me.
Yeah, well, you're a made man now, mate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys, we've had a blast. Next week, we will be doing part 2, the Western Conference, tackling all 15 teams there. During the week, be sure to stay up to date with all of our socials, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, for all the latest news from the NBA and NBL. I'll be back probably Monday next week with another installment of our NBL Focus show. Now on the home stretch, only a couple of weeks to go before the playoffs start there. So a lot of intriguing storylines likewise there to play out. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to the show. And from myself, Lee and Bro, guys, we will talk to you next week.